Uh, what's up, guys? Back at it with another MLB DFS video. It's just me today, which is fine. Phone's got some stuff going on, so figured why not just me post. It's a very interesting slate. Reed Detmers did not come out and play. He only went 4 innings with 4 strikeouts and 7 earned. That didn't really matter because we had Nolan Gorman go for 40 fantasy points, 2 home runs. Yanier Diaz from the Houston Astros at 3% hit a 3-run home run. Um, Tucker did good. He only went 1 for 3 with 2 walks, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. Jordan Alvarez hit a home run. Jaron Duran, 3 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs and a run. If Detmers would have just been the Detmers that we know, we would have easily went over 200 and would have made more. But overall, it was a good day, good start to the month, so can't really complain. Um, Interesting slate today. Pitching is pretty cut and dry. Stacks is where it gets a little interesting, so let's just jump straight into the pitchers. So going into pitchers, Corbin Burns, Blake Snell, Kenta Maeda, Kirby Matz, Gibson, Blackburn, pretty much everything's here. Burns is getting 30% ownership, and it makes sense playing Pittsburgh. He's been pretty good lately. To be completely honest with you, we're probably going to end up playing him on the main slate. It's just, I understand it's not a good price tag as in the stacks might not be as great, but getting 30% facing a Pittsburgh team that isn't that great, it looks good. Blake Snell, 10-5 against the Dodgers. I just don't like attacking the Dodgers. I know Funk will say the same thing. Him getting 8% was pretty interesting. Kenta Maeda, 10K, little too much, but he's been pretty good recently. I think it was something I just looked up, 4 of his last 5 starts. He's been pretty good, getting at least like 35 fantasy points. So I don't mind that play against Arizona either. George Kirby, 9 innings against the Angels. The strikeout upside is there. He's been pretty good recently at limiting damage. The strikeouts have sort of been there, not really. But 9.8 is a pretty decent tag, and he's only getting 8% ownership. I don't understand Steven Matz getting 16%. I understand he's 9K versus Colorado, but if the strikeout upside was there, I can see it, but I understand it's a 9K price tag facing Colorado. That makes sense. Nothing else really stands out here. So if I were you, if you're making your own lineups, I would focus on Corbin Burns, Snell, Maeda, Kirby. Um, Obviously, Corbin Burns is clear cut number 1. But if you don't want to pay 10-8 for him and you want to get a little different, you can go to like Maeda or Kirby or Snell. And like I said, too, the thing with Snell is he's facing the Dodgers. So that's kind of why I don't like him as much. But just focus on these top 4 right here. So let's move on to stacks. Um, sure. So right now it's got Baltimore, St. Louis, Seattle, Milwaukee, Cleveland, San Fran, Minnesota, San Diego. As you can see, this is it right here. So Baltimore, St. Louis, Seattle, Milwaukee, Cleveland. These are easily the top 5 that I like. Baltimore against Miguel, you know, they're playing the Mets. The Mets traded away Verlander and Scherzer. St. Louis looks a little bit more interesting, and they have a better stack score, which it makes sense. Ty Blatch. Don't really know too much about him. All I know is he's a pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. Seattle looks interesting against Tyler Anderson. We've tried to get different with Tyler Anderson in the past, but it just never really worked out. Um, Milwaukee against Bailey Falter. Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. Good matchup. Cleveland against Kopech. So being a White Sox fan, the thing with Kopech is he just walks a lot of guys, and I don't know. It's insane. Um, Cleveland is a decent stack to target. I don't think they're going to score many runs, but if you pick the correct pieces, it'll definitely benefit you. San Fran looks good. Obviously, playing the Oakland Athletics, facing Paul Blackburn. The issue with San Fran, and I know I've mentioned it before in the past, the thing with San Fran is they like to pinch hit a lot. And let's just say San Fran is winning like 10-1, and it's like top of the seventh or something like that. They're definitely going to pinch hit some guys to kind of rest them or whatever. Minnesota against Ryan Anderson looks good. Um, what was I looking at? 9% ownership share. The thing that interests me a little bit about San Fran as well, they're only getting a 5% ownership share and 3% leverage. So if they're doing a 4-2-2, San Fran's a decent option to go to maybe get two guys from there. Milwaukee's getting a 0.6% leverage and a 7% ownership share. So that's another good option to go to. I don't like the 12% ownership going to Cleveland against Kopech, but it's understandable. If I had to rank these, I would probably go kind of in the order of stack score. I would go St. Louis, Baltimore. I would actually go Seattle. Then basically, if you just swap these two and then go down the line, San Diego is playing Michael Grove. Michael Grove has limited power and limited runs. He just doesn't strike out a lot of guys. So San Diego would probably be a decent option, kind of like I was saying earlier with Cleveland and San Fran. If you're doing a 4-2-2, or let's just say you're doing a 4-3-1, you want to get really different, San Diego would be a decent option. They're only getting a 5% ownership share and a 0.1% leverage. So the thing that I find a little interesting about that, it's like, or I should say, the only issue with that is San Diego is just so expensive. Um, Tatis, Machado, Soto. I guess you can get to the Mets, but we're probably not going to get to the Mets. The one thing that does stand out is the leverage score there and the ownership share. So I would really focus on St. Louis, Baltimore, pretty much just focus on these five and then maybe mix in Minnesota, San Diego. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Um, let's run the lineup generator and see what it says. So we'll do 4-3-1 balanced. We're just gonna lock in Burns and just see what it gives us. Oh yeah, I kind of did this a little earlier. So this is probably what it's gonna do. Um, if I were to redo this, it would do the same thing. Actually, you know what? Hold on. So this is not locking anything. So let's just look at stack exposures. Yeah, it really likes Cleveland and St. Louis and a little bit of these stacks of Milwaukee, Seattle, Baltimore, Minnesota. Pretty much what I was explaining, kind of what I like. So that's a little interesting. Corbin Burns are most expensive, are most exposed at 10-8, 45%. Okay, pretty interesting. So yeah, I always say this every time we record. This is a great tool to use to kind of get your mind thinking, seeing what the generator likes, and check the stack exposure. So right now, Cleveland and St. Louis are getting the most love right now in terms of exposure percentage. So you can save up to 20 lineups, and they're all here. And fantasy point projection percentage, ownership. You can just scroll through, and then you can export it to a CSV. So it's definitely worth looking into. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can check that out. So my home run calls for the day are going to be Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper, and Nick Castellanos. I texted Funk to give me his home run calls, and he never texted me back yet. Um, So I'll probably just make a YouTube short of his home run calls. Um, but that's pretty much it. Just to kind of recap on some of the stuff we went over. Basically, kind of focus on Corbin Burns for pitching. If you want to get off him, focus on Snell, Maeda, Kirby. Stacks are a little bit more interesting. Baltimore, St. Louis, Seattle, Milwaukee, Cleveland. Some contrarian options, I would go with Minnesota, San Diego, and the Mets. So that should just about do it. We'll get a main slate lineup about 10-15 minutes before the slate actually locks. I'm gonna put the Stochastic link in the description. Basically, you just get all the data that I showed you and many more that we don't even show you guys. So definitely a great tool to use. Yeah, just make sure to like and subscribe.